Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and host of the video podcast Real Conversations with Michelle. Welcome to episode 3 of my Affairs of the Heart series. Y'all, I had started this series with the goal of touching upon topics that really do tug at the heart. We started off talking about friendships. The second episode was about grief. And now we're going to talk about divorce tonight. And anyone who has gone through the process knows that it can be a very emotional process. And the question is, how do you ensure that you're taking care of yourself as you are going through this process? And especially during the holidays if you have children. So I have 3 very special guests who are going to be joining me. But before we get started, let me just tell my audience a little bit about myself, especially those of you who are new to my podcast. I am a retired senior HR professional who has a business in coaching, y'all, and I've been doing this now for about 17 years. I'm a master certified life coach, but I'm also a career and executive coach, and I just love helping people. I started this podcast in 2020 when there was a lot of things going on. Y'all know we were right smack in the middle of the COVID pandemic, as well as the racial tensions that were going on and other things that were going on during that time. And I really wanted to find a way to help people as they were going through during that time. And we've been going strong, really just talking about a variety of life experiences with the goal that something that is shared, you'll be able to apply in some shape, form, or fashion to yourself or in support of someone else. Now, this is an educational program. So like any educational program, I do ask you to do your research to make sure that whatever is shared, it really does make sense for you. Okay. So now that I got that out the way, I'd love to introduce my guest. And I'm going to have the first person joining me is Miss Dominique. Hello, Dominique.
Hello there, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. And Dominique, y'all, we've been friends for about 43 years. Just 43 years, but
that's all. Not much.
That's 43. But having you on as a therapist, I'm so excited about this, Dom. So tell people a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dominique Atkins. For the last 2 years, I have been practicing as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work primarily with couples. My approach is strength-based and solution-focused. Now, prior to doing therapy and becoming a therapist, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for over 25 years, selling all types of different products, but more importantly, medications for the treatment of depression, anxiety, and a host of other mental health conditions. And really, that experience really has helped me in this new role as a therapist. So I'm really excited. This is my first time ever doing a podcast. So, I hope something I say tonight or we all say tonight will resonate with you all and help you in some way.
Yeah. Now, this is not your first time on the podcast, but this is your first time on a podcast as a therapist.
As a therapist,
yeah. That's right. But I appreciate you. And you were one of those people who was instrumental in my healing as I was going through my divorce 8 years ago. So I appreciate you. And next up, I have a very special couple joining me. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Skinner.
Hello, Michelle and Dominique.
Hello there.
Hi. Listen, introduce yourselves.
All right. So I'm Rasheeda Skinner.
And I'm Terence Skinner.
A little background on me. I am an Army veteran. I was in the military for 7 years. I have an broadcast journalism and a master's in education, which I kind of did both. I used to do a little bit of radio, and then I went into the classroom, which I absolutely loved. But when we got married and we had our cherub, we decided that it was best that I stay home. And while that was hard, and that was an adjustment because I'm a recovering workaholic, I'll
Mm,
say. Um, that we realized that was God's best for our family, and I'm seeing the fruits of that now.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a little bit about me personally.
yeah.
Hey.
Hello, my name is Terence Skinner again. I am a retired New Jersey trooper. Served New Jersey State Police for 25 years. Um, Educational background, I went to Trenton State College. I majored in sociology, so I have a bachelor's degree in sociology. And uh, prior to meeting this beautiful woman, I was married for 19 years and unfortunately went through the process of divorce, which brings us to you tonight. Um,
Yeah,
and we um, made a decision that we wanted to help others work through the process of divorce. So we now host a divorce care at our church. And that's
yeah.
kind of my background.
And he's a Kappa. I don't know if
Oh,
that
he's a cat.
matters,
Oh,
but
you know what? We
Oh,
ain't
we
talking
didn't
about
know
that.
that.
it seems like that's a big deal. So I figured I'd throw that in there.
It
To
is.
us Greeks, it is. Hey, brother in crimson and cream. Yes,
Right?
but yeah. So anyway, but thank you for sharing. And and I shared this with Dominique and the Skinners when I was going through my divorce 8 years ago. What was so instrumental in my healing and moving forward was that I worked with a therapist and I also participated in a divorce care ministry, like the one that the Skinners are facilitating. So, this is about support and again, how can you navigate your divorce with grace and growth? And it is a process. You have to be intentional about it, and it can be done. So I'm so glad to have, and I mentioned this to Terrence, to have a male perspective as
Yes.
well as someone who's gone
Yes.
through divorce in this space, because I think it's important. Because I think, men and women, we deal with things a little bit differently
Hmm.
sometimes. So very glad to have all of you on tonight. So let's get started. And my first question, when we talk about healing the heart, what does that really mean to each of you in the context of divorce? So I'll start with the Skinners first.
Okay, you want me
Go
to
ahead.
start?
Mhm.
Well, so we're Christians, right? That's our foundation. Divorce care is not, it's Christian based, but you don't have to be a Christian or be a part of the church to join or anything. But that is, for me, that is my foundation. Your identity and knowing your identity in Christ and knowing who you are. That's really all of the healing process.
Mhm.
Because when you go through a divorce and you go through a loss like that, that feeling of abandonment and rejection plays a really big part on your identity, which also plays a big part on your heart. So
Yeah,
you have to know who you are in God, and you have to watch this. It is very
yeah,
important to watch your mouth.
yeah.
So healing your heart is knowing your identity and saying the right things out of your
Mhm.
mouth, honestly.
Thank you, Rasheeda. Terrence, how about you?
For me, I sought divorce care as a way to heal. When my former wife left, I was distraught, and so I thought that I would join divorce care in order to make myself a better person. I
Mhm.
went into divorce care with a heart of reconciliation, and I hope that at some point we would reconcile. Um, so I went through that process, and um, what I did learn from divorce care was that reconciliation is a two-way street,
Yeah.
and if the person is not willing to reconcile, then there's not a whole lot you can do. So after 3 years, I filed for divorce,
Yeah.
and but DivorceCare carried me through um, that time frame, that 3 year period. It was immense, and
Yeah.
it helped me heal. It actually helped me forgive, and that was the most important thing, um, to continue on my road to healing. That I was
Yeah.
able to forgive. Um,
Yeah.
I like to say that forgiveness is a key that unlocks the door to your future,
Yeah. It
and so
definitely is.
that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, and we're gonna get a little bit more into what is covered in divorce care in a few minutes, but
Mhm.
you hit the nail on the head for me as I went through it. It's so funny you mentioned that's that one area around reconciliation because that was the one for me that helped me to make my decision in terms of moving forward and filing for divorce because we were not in the same place at
Mhm.
all. There were some other things that came up during that session um, as well. But when you talk about healing the heart, it is, Rasheeda, you mentioned it. For me, it was, when I think about my emotions, there was anger, there was
Mhm.
sadness.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
there was some spaces that I felt good about myself because I moved forward and did what I felt like I needed to do for me. But
Sure,
it was
sure.
it was a roller coaster. So
Definitely.
That's a
it was
perfect
definitely
way.
one of those. Yeah, it was a roller coaster
Yep.
of emotions, and I'm the one who filed. So Dominique, talk about it from a therapist standpoint
Yeah.
as a
So
healing the heart.
healing the heart to me as a therapist, one of the first things it needs a couple of things, but finding peace, being able to get to a place where you can say, I, I am in a peaceful place. I have peace of mind. So
Mhm.
for me, that's getting clients to find that peace.
Right.
Secondly, discovering their strengths because through divorce, there's a lot of insecurities, a lot of feelings of just doubt. So finding that inner strength again,
Mhm.
that's part of the healing heart.
Mhm.
Third thing is learning to adopt coping mechanisms that are healthy,
Yes.
and then lastly, embracing change, helping clients
That's
to
a good
embrace
one.
change. So
That's
Yeah.
good.
that's what healing the heart means to me.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And Dominique, it is because it's a change. And as I think Rashida, you mentioned earlier on, it can be traumatic, right? It
Mhm.
can be
Mhm.
traumatic for some
Yes.
people.
Mhm.
And then you add on the holidays and it just brings up a whole nother set of emotions. And if you have children, even having to help your kids through the process as well. Dominic, let's stick with the feelings a little bit. So divorce often brings up feelings of grief, guilt, and even relief. How can people give themselves permission to feel all of these things
Mm.
without judgment? Because I know for me, um, it was hard. I felt there was a point in time I was embarrassed, right? Having been in a church and was a leader at a church. And I had not been married that long, right? So I had to kind of get out of my own head, and really didn't tell a whole lot of people that I was
Mhm.
in this process for a
Mhm.
while. And then there was a point in time, and like I said, I think divorce care and therapy for it that I stopped hiding. Stop hiding, and
Mm.
was open about talking about it. So talk about that, Dominique.
That's good.
So, as you mentioned, divorce is a traumatic event. And that's what it is. It's a
Mhm.
traumatic event. It causes significant emotional and psychological distress.
Mhm.
It is a major life stressor,
Mhm.
major. And I think you hit on the fact that it's part of a grieving process.
Mhm.
So one of the first steps, when it comes to healing, is being able to acknowledge all those feelings, all these emotions that you are experiencing. So yeah, allowing yourself to feel and express those emotions um, in a very safe and non-judgmental environment. That's why therapy is good because you have someone there that's giving you that safe space, that's giving you that non-judgmental place to be able to just let it out. And the
Yeah.
reason it's so important is that when you're actually experiencing those feelings and feeling them and expressing them, you're allowing yourself also to make peace with them,
Mm-hmm.
with those feelings. And it
Yeah.
gives you that opportunity to let it out and
Mm-hmm.
then let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. Rasheeda and Terence, anything you want to add to that?
I think too with divorce care, it kind of when you're surrounded with other people that are going through it with you, you don't feel so crazy. You realize that
Absolutely.
you're not alone, that other people, everybody's journey and process is different, but it's still the same journey and process. So, there's one segment that I mean, I say it in every class. Oh, I love this part. I love that. And I really do. There's like each class, I love something very specific. But when they talk about the emotional, there's like a line that they have, the emotional, mental, and physical. And sometimes you're exhausted and you're tired in your physical body because of what you're going through emotionally. And when I went through divorce care and I saw that, I'm like, that is exactly what I'm feeling because I was tired. I was exhausted all the time. But that's because so much of your energy is being spent on your emotions and trying to regulate your emotions. So it's so important to get into something, therapy, divorce care, something where, like you said, Dominique, where you can express those emotions and get them
Yeah.
out. And again, what divorce care allows is for you to have, okay, we can facilitate, but a lot of times what other people are saying is what helps as well because it helps you relate and, again, let you realize you're not crazy. You're just going
Yeah.
through a normal and
Right.
hard process.
Yeah. And we'll
Yeah.
talk a
For
little bit
me,
more. Go ahead, Terence.
for me, divorce care represented a safe haven.
Mhm.
And my class, there were probably 20 people. There was 14 ladies and 6 men. So the the
Wow.
the fact that we were able to have men in the class, and because men are in most cases less verbal, don't
Hmm.
want to express our feelings, we were able to release. And that fact that we could talk in a safe haven, and it brought up it normalized things for me. I felt
Mhm.
normal. I wasn't the only one feeling these things. I wasn't the only
Hmm.
one going through, some of the issues with divorce. So it gave me a peace and a confidence that I could get through the process.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have you guys talk about what divorce care program is all about because what I think, and we talked about this, a lot of people don't know about divorce
Right.
care.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not publicized as a program just in general.
Mhm.
If you're part of a church, you might hear about it because your church actually has it. But let's talk a little bit about what the program actually covers, if you don't mind.
It's interesting because some people, like, find it by accident. We had
Yeah.
that a lot. Somebody will say, "Well, I was typing something in and divorce care just popped up." So it is a shame that it's not as publicized unless you're part of a church. But if you
Hmm.
find it by accident, divine intervention, right? But
Absolutely.
divorce care is biblically based. Usually it is hosted by churches. You do not have to be a Christian or a part of that church. It is outreach. It's a 13-week course. There are three parts to it. There is the video. There's a video every week with a specific topic. For example, forgiveness would be one. Your former spouse would be another. Singlehood would be another. And after you view the video, there are prompted questions that we as the facilitators ask. It's usually between maybe 5 to 7 questions. Depending on the size of the class, we don't always get through those questions, or you kind of go off
Mhm.
on a tangent and start a whole nother conversation. But it's just something to prompt the class to talk about. And then the third part is a workbook. We had one of our participants call it heel work instead of homework.
Yeah.
So
I
we
like
call
that.
it that.
Yeah.
So do I. So I've been using that quite a bit. But and then that's a really important part too, because that's something that it's kind of like a journal in a sense, a guided journal. So that's really, really helpful as well. And then there's another class that is not part of the 13 weeks, but it's called Surviving the Holidays. So that's kind of like a 14th week. But that's essential for this time. So Surviving the Holidays basically just focuses on like the video itself focuses on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but in our class, when we do it, we do 2 sessions. We do a fall session, we do a spring session. We do Surviving the Holidays in the spring as well, to cover Easter and Memorial Day and Mother's Day and all the other holidays in the spring.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about how the program works. Did you want to add anything, babe?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to when I went through, they actually had DivorceCare for kids.
Yeah.
And my son participated, and we did that at the same, like I went to class and he went to class. And what that did was, it was a blessing that it opened up the lines of communication between he and I. And it's just amazing what some kids actually think about divorce. And he actually thought that it was his sister and his fault that we were going through a divorce.
How old was he, Terence, when you were going through?
He was 9 at the time, and his sister was 12 or 13. They're 4 years apart. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that piece in terms of children. But like I said, I went through it, and I don't remember when I went through it, they didn't do Surviving the Holidays. But to your point, Rasheeda, when you and I spoke, probably because it was the timing of the year that I went through, so we didn't go through that. But there's a session on loneliness. I pulled it up just so I can, because I remember, like I said, all of it was just so good. Fear and anxiety, family and friends, financial and legal issues, conflict, forgiveness, former spouse, single living, brighter days. And what I loved about it, because there were so many different facets of it, of the topics that were covered. Some, some applied and some didn't.
Yes.
But to hear other people share their stories, Terence, to your point, and have men in the class, I appreciated that, because that gave me a male perspective as well. For me, especially when I was in my mode of when I was in my mode. I'll just leave it at that. I won't use words that I want to.
We understand. I understand.
But y'all, the women understand. But when I was in that mode, it was just like hearing the males kind of speak. It was like, oh, okay, different perspective, right? And the
Michelle,
male said the same
I don't
thing.
mean to interrupt you, but I have to say
Rasheeda.
this. When I first saw Terence, so with my divorce, there was a lot of infidelity. Okay, so I was bitter, very, very bitter. And I first saw him, I was fairly new to the church, so I didn't really know a lot of people. But when I started DivorceCare class, Tammy had brought him in to give a male perspective. We didn't have a lot of males in our class.
Okay.
So I remember when I saw him, well, first I was like, "Oh, who's that?" That was a shock too, because I wasn't looking at nobody. I mean,
right.
I was just in that mind frame, right? So I'm bitter. I'm like, yeah, he in here looking all fine. He probably cheated on his wife. That's why he all in divorce. Just a mess, right?
Right.
So towards the end, I, had my arms folded. I had a whole attitude, and I was like, well, I have a question. Do all men cheat? And he, in his calm demeanor, I'm a lot more healed now. I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
But he said, ma'am, I don't know your full situation, but I was married to my wife for 19 years, and I never cheated on her. So no, all men don't cheat. Yeah. If I had never seen him ever again after that, and thank God I did, that was enough. I needed to hear that. I needed to know that. It changed me, because it made me realize well, maybe there are, of course, I didn't know his whole story. I didn't know,
Right.
everything that transpired, but maybe there is some good men. So that male perspective is so essential, not just for the men, but for us too, for the women
It
in the room
Mhm.
is.
to
It
have that
is.
perspective
And
too.
I'll be
Forgive me for
honest,
interrupting.
I agree.
I even I had a male therapist
Mm,
because I wanted a different perspective. I wanted
mhm,
someone who could challenge me in terms of my thinking and what and how I was managing things. He happened to be a Christian as well.
mm,
But it was just for me, I just felt like I needed that
mhm,
for myself. And like I said, it was just eye opening. And now the program too, because when I was attending, it was in person. They
mhm,
now you can find it, they have online. So y'all just look up divorce care. If you know anyone who is struggling, just look up divorce care and you can find a program in your area.
mhm,
It is faith-based, as everyone said, but you don't have to be a Christian to join it. The lessons are just invaluable.
mhm.
I can't
Sure.
say enough about it.
That's
So,
true.
Terrence, I'm gonna stick with you for a minute. So, emotional journey through divorce. Oftentimes, as women, we feel like it's not as visible, right? When you guys tend to have for the most part, kind of hold things in. I'm not gonna say all men, but so, what helped you open up, and how did you find healthy ways to cope and heal?
Um, Again, I'm going to have to, I guess, base that on divorce care. I didn't open up um, until I joined that class. I had nobody to talk to. Um,
Mm,
I had one friend that would call me,
Mhm,
and some days I didn't feel like talking to him, and I wouldn't answer the phone.
okay.
Um, so I knew I needed help. I needed to because I was angry,
Yeah.
um, and I needed to have an outlet.
Yeah.
And so divorce care was that outlet for me to open up and start to heal and see that you know that I was going down the wrong path.
Mhm.
Just to be honest,
Mhm.
I was on a path of destruction mentally, physically, um,
Mm.
losing the house financially. So there were
Right.
there was all kind of issues that were brought about by the separation. Um, so um, what made it hard was that we both were serving in the church at the time.
mhm.
We went through that
Yeah.
process.
Same.
So there was this immense shame
Mhm,
that I was going through. And I thought, like, when I walked into the church, everybody knew,
mhm,
Right.
and nobody, and
Mhm.
most people didn't, but I just felt like I was under a spotlight. So, and so they announced divorce care in service one day. And that's how I got connected, and after that, things began to lighten up.
Yeah. What advice would you give to men who are going through, Terrence?
mm.
Um,
Even beyond just divorce care,
the,
just in general. Yeah.
right. Just to open up, to find someone to talk to, even if it's not in a divorce care setting. Open up, um, be honest. Um, I really, I really got closer to God. I just got up every morning and I
Mhm.
read my Bible. That's the first thing I would do is read my Bible.
Mhm.
Um, and I really got a closer walk with God. And
Yeah.
to show me where I was wrong,
Mhm.
because nobody's perfect.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't say that she did everything wrong. But what God showed me was that I wasn't in a place spiritually that I needed to be.
Mhm.
You need to be as a man, you need to be able to pray for your wife. And that should be every day
Yeah.
without cease. So I learned that there's certain attacks that can
Mhm.
come spiritually if the man is not on the throne. so to speak, and doing the things that he needs to do. So I would recommend that if you're, as a man, if you're going through this process, get help, um, pray every day, and seek God for answers, and he'll walk you through it.
Yeah, I would say that for sure, um, this is a process you don't need to do alone. Naturally, you can put yourself in a dark place if you do.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah. So you
Very
definitely
dark.
wanna seek assistance. Dominique, anything you want to add to what Terence and Rasheeda
Um,
shared?
I think it's important for everyone to know, just like any grieving process, it's not linear. Your emotions and what you're going to feel, it's not linear. The process is not linear. So you mentioned roller coaster. It is. It's You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. The emotions, they come hard, and sometimes they dissipate. So it is a process, and it's not linear.
Right.
Just when you thought, okay, I got this, you
Yep.
know, a song will come on, or
Yes.
and you're back to that feeling, that hurt, that anger, that shame, that guilt, all those emotions. So no, it's not linear. It's a process, but you will get through it. You will get through it.
Yeah. And I think I think we all can attest to the fact it is a loss.
Yes.
It is.
And,
Yes.
and, and it could be a good loss for some people. It's like, hey, but then it could be one of the, hey, it could be a good loss for some people, but it also can be an emotional loss as well. And Dominique, as a therapist, I know you deal with a lot of that in terms of um, people who are dealing with different kinds of losses, even in a marriage, right?
Yeah.
So, can you speak to that a little bit?
As far as their loss, what their
Just dealing with
emotions.
loss in general. Yeah.
Well, again, it's therapy is all about really getting in touch with your emotions, becoming more aware, and being able to talk about it. So that is, it's elevating your awareness,
Right.
becoming more mindful.
Yeah.
You're starting to take inventory of your thought patterns, so that when you're on this negative thought pattern, you recognize it before it gets out of hand. So it's
Yeah.
helping clients to be more mindful, to
Right.
practice mindfulness, and understand that they shouldn't run away from their emotions, but they should get in touch with them.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the grieving process. Because yes, divorce is whether it's a good loss or a bad loss, it's still a loss.
It's
I
a
Right.
mean,
loss, right?
period. It's a loss.
Right.
You went into this institution thinking that you were going to be in it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I help clients, like, really, to get in touch with all those emotions, and
Yeah.
understand how to recognize the patterns of thought and break the negative thinking patterns,
Yeah.
and replace them with more positive, healthier coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mindfulness is huge.
Yeah. And I did a segment on grief, and I'll probably post that again. But Lydia kind of went through the whole grievance process and things. How do you manage grief
Yeah.
in that
Huh.
space? So, Rashida, can you talk about self care and what does self care and grace look like for you as you began to rebuild your confidence and identity after divorce?
Again, I'm not saying I'm the perfect Christian. I'm definitely
None of
not.
us are.
But I will say, when I first went through it, that's a very, very good question. Um, that rejection and that abandonment makes you feel like trash, for lack of
Mhm,
a better word.
mhm.
And you almost just, if you do not stop and settle yourself, you will grasp for anything that's giving you any type of attention, and just
Mhm.
add on a whole nother layer of mess in your life.
Yeah.
So, but that's easy to say now because I'm out of it.
Right.
But it's so important, like I said before, to know your identity in Christ. But the reality is, when it's first happening, you're not thinking about that, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So you may make choices and decisions that aren't the best. And that's where this grace comes in, right?
Yeah.
that grace piece is very important, and you have to realize that you are going through a change and things don't make sense, and that's okay. That's the grace part. It is
Right.
okay that things are not perfect. It is okay that things you don't feel like yourself, right? I was, very independent, had a job, always had a job, always, had things, going on. Things were structured and then they weren't. So I
Mhm.
felt less than. But
Mhm.
it's like you can because you're going through a process.
Right.
Um so and then self-care is not self-care in the sense that getting your nails done or getting your hair done. That can be an aspect of it. That can
Right.
be. But before you work on the outside, you have to work on the inside because that's a
Mhm.
reflection. You can get your hair and your nails done and still look a hot mess because your inside is a
Exactly.
mess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely.
And that self-care is really taking care of your soul and your
Yeah.
mind, and
Yeah.
then and taking yourself out. It's okay to take yourself out to dinner. It's okay to
Yeah.
take yourself out to lunch. It's okay to
Yeah.
go to the movies. You have to start to enjoy you. You have to
You.
start to enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
again, just, being kind to you, watching your thought process, as you touched on, Dominique, just and sometimes you literally, like, I would have to speak out loud and
Yeah.
say, "No, I'm not doing that. No,
Yeah.
we're not thinking like that today." And one
Yeah.
of the scriptures that I memorized was Psalm 141:3. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth, keep watch over the doors of my lips to protect
Mhm.
the words that came out of my mouth. So just giving yourself that love
Yeah.
and that space to step back and really just work on your soul
Yeah.
and
And
give
that's the
yourself grace in the mistakes because you're going to make mistakes.
oh
You
yeah,
are.
Mhm.
You
absolutely.
just
And
are.
I
Absolutely.
found for me forgiving myself,
Yeah. Yes.
right? I had to start there because, as someone who has been in the helping field all of my life, right?
Mhm.
I was in this headspace of, okay, why couldn't I help myself here? Why couldn't I see certain things? Why couldn't I, right?
Yes.
But I had to forgive myself, and it took me a while to get to that place. But once I did that and um, allowed myself to speak about it, because part of it for me was also being able to speak about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
That is so huge.
And I had held it close to the vest. Those who were in my immediate circle kind of knew.
Mhm.
But I had found myself, people who were outside of my circle, they're like, "Everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're fine."
Mhm.
And it got to a
Mhm.
point where I was just like, "No, they're not
It's
fine.
not.
I'm going
Mhm.
through a divorce. We're separated."
Mhm.
And but I felt so much freedom even being able to talk about it. I felt like
Yep.
I
Mhm.
wasn't hiding anymore, right? Um, but I would just leave it at that, right?
Mhm.
Wasn't dog mouthing the person, not doing
Right.
any of
Right.
that, right? And to your point, you made the statement about guarding your mouth. And it was
Mhm.
really there are times when I really had to say, Michelle, there were things that was being said that I just had to say, don't respond.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Don't respond.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Terence, anything you want to add to that?
Um, no, I believe what you're saying. For me, it was just um, so many different emotions that
Yeah.
that I was dealing with that um, and I was going down a dark path.
Yeah. Your
Just
self-care as a male, what does self-care look like for you?
as a male, I had to pull myself out and accept help. That's what
Yeah.
it looked like because I wasn't I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. Um, and I had this one friend that would reach out
Yeah.
um,
You mentioned that
to
earlier.
to
Yeah.
so but as I began to pray and God let me know that you have to accept this help work. This is
Yeah.
you're not going be in a
Yeah.
good place.
Yeah.
So you have to admit, at some point you have to admit that you need help,
Yeah.
and that's
Absolutely.
not always easy for
Yeah.
men, especially men. We
Yeah.
try
Mhm.
to, we can just buff through it, and I'm a man, and I'm not gonna let nobody see me cry and all
Yeah.
that. Um, but I had to realize that I needed help, and reach out for help.
Yeah. Let's talk about kids now. And and I know both of you had kids when you were going through your divorce. And had this conversation with one of my friends. I have two girlfriends who've gone through divorce. Both of them had adult kids. One, the adult kids really took it hard, right? And they were angry at the mother, right? Um, but and so as you're dealing with your kids, talk a little bit about your process in terms of working with your kids as you were
Go
going through
ahead.
this process.
So mine were 7 and 9 when we went
Mhm.
through it. And the number one thing I can say to anyone, never ever say anything negative about the other parent.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. The way our separation went, it was amicable to the point where the kids just realized, okay, mommy and daddy aren't together. My dad's at his dad's house and my mom's at our house. They didn't really, see us fighting. It's very important not to argue and fight in front of the
Absolutely.
kids.
Mhm.
If you have to have a conversation and you need a mediator, do that.
Mhm.
But if there is, and also it was important to keep the structure for the children if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Sometimes finances, you know, not sometimes, a lot of times finances play a part in it. Maybe, now you might not be able to afford doing certain things, so that's something to take into consideration.
Mhm. Mhm.
But to stay consistent, keep their schedule, stay consistent, stay open, because even though children are children, they're not dumb, and they know that something's happening. They know um that there's changes, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
be open to listening to them, be open to, don't push them though. Don't push if they're not, don't put something in their head if it's not already there.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
can ask a prompting question and see, like, my kids didn't really say much about it. Like, there
Mhm.
was some moments where they were like, "Oh, I kind of wish you guys were together," but they didn't ask, so I didn't say anything unless they asked, unless it
Right.
was something that really truly affected them.
Yeah.
Eventually I did, put them into therapy, but
Mhm.
even in putting them into therapy, our divorce never came up. They
Really?
were,
Okay.
yeah, it
Yeah.
it never
Yeah.
it never
Nice that
really
they were
came
well
up.
adjusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, if I can, consistency is key, and never say anything negative about the other parent ever. I grew up with divorced parents, and divorce care when I went through was healing for me as a divorced child. I was a grown woman at 31 years old going through divorce care, crying because it healed me as the
Right.
child of divorced parents. My
Mhm.
parent, no, I'm not here to, knock my parents. You know better, you do better. Nobody's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I everything you weren't supposed to go through, I went through as a kid
Oh,
and
Yeah.
felt like,
oh,
it
Rasheeda.
was my fault. I went through that as well, thinking,
Right.
oh, if I was this way, maybe, this wouldn't have happened. And I didn't even, and what's crazy is I never even saw my
Hmm.
parents together. I was like 2 weeks old when they separated, but
Okay.
there was always contention, always, always fighting, always, always,
Right.
always. Um, so when I went through divorce care and I learned how to do, was learning, I'm like, oh, I that wasn't my fault as an adult. So with that, of course, I have that background to know what I didn't want my kids to go through
Right.
too. So
Right.
that was at the forefront of my mind too, going through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see someone, Bronx Jackson, says the kids know and understand a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely agree. No negative talk about the other parent. And,
Yes.
kids, they do know a lot. They're very
They
perceptive, right? They
very.
know when things are happening. They know when things aren't right,
Mm-hmm.
right? They know that. Dominique, go ahead, and I want to hear
Yeah.
Terence's
I was just
feedback.
going to say, I was going to add just one more thing to you. Said everything that I was thinking of, Rasheeda. So, but the one thing I wanted to add was it's important not to unload your adult problems onto the
Yes.
child.
Yes.
That is, you need to allow your children to express, talk about what they're feeling, without you leaning on them for adult emotional support, like not on your
Yes.
kids. And that is key. And a lot of adults don't realize they're doing that when
Right.
they're unloading all their stuff onto the child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's a
And I
no
would
no.
assume, Dom, that could happen, especially if you have older kids,
If you have
right?
older kids, I was about to say, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a no no.
Yep.
And just modeling what calm looks like. Because
Yes.
when
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
calm and they see that you're calm through the process,
Mm-hmm.
they stay calm. So modeling
Mhm.
calm is important.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't
Yeah.
think it's wrong to cry either.
No.
It's okay to let them know that you're sad because they may be
Yeah.
sad too, and they can
Yeah.
express that, right? They'll,
Yeah.
okay, well, but again, not unloading yourself on
Right.
there. But hey, mommy or daddy, it we're
It's
sad,
normal
and
to,
it's
yeah,
okay to cry.
to show your
Yeah.
emotion. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
So I
you
agree.
having them go through therapy, I think, is very important because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you don't know how they're feeling.
Right.
And you don't know, some of them may express it
Mm-hmm.
verbally,
Mm-hmm.
some of them may hold it in.
Mm-hmm.
As you said for yourself, you held it in as a kid, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And found yourself as you were going through divorce care, going back to those days.
Oh
So
yeah,
a testament to ensuring your kids are getting some kind of support
for
as
sure.
well. Terrence, you mentioned your son went through divorce. Okay, but
My son,
talk about how you
Yeah.
managed it with your kids.
um, so when we went through the our divorce, my son was 9 and my daughter was 13.
Mhm,
Um, and what happened was my ex took my daughter with her
mhm.
and left my son with me.
Okay.
So there was a separation between them, um, and that caused some issues in itself. Um,
Mm,
but then also, what some things I learned not to do was not to get into a competition.
Mm,
yeah.
Try to give the kids more. Try to give my son more than I was giving my daughter. Um, and also because there was a separation and there was a tendency to want to know what was going on in the
Mhm.
other house. I didn't use them as a spy.
mm.
You
That
know what I
part,
mean?
yeah.
I didn't ask my son what's she doing over there or ask my daughter what was doing. So
Right.
I tried to just keep things as normal as possible in
Yeah.
those areas. And they made out well. They did.
Yeah. 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 Let's talk about the holidays because it's here, and
Mm.
I know you guys just had a session on. If I'm not mistaken, you guys just facilitated a session about divorce during the holidays. Talk about um, talk about that. What are some strategies for managing divorce while you're going through the holidays?
I think it's important also, like what Terrence just said, kind of piggybacking on the fact that don't let it be a competition.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in debt trying to, um, you know, pad the emotions of not only yourself but of your kids too.
Mhm.
Um, Also be very aware of not trying to overcompensate along with that.
Mm.
Um, because again, kids aren't stupid. If they can play you,
Yeah.
they'll play you. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's very important to again maintain consistency and
Mhm.
don't go into debt. So trying to, again, trying to pad those emotions. Also set boundaries. Don't feel like you have to do everything, you have to explain everything. Um, there's a difference between isolating and kind of solitude. Like when you isolate yourself, you don't want to put yourself in a bubble purposefully. It's all about the motive. So if you feel like, okay, I feel like I want to be alone, um, and just take time for yourself, that's fine. But isolating yourself because of shame or because you don't want to be a burden to somebody, that's not okay. If somebody wants to invite you over, go over there. Let them invite you over. But know your own boundaries. Don't feel as though you have to tell everybody your business or you have to explain yourself to everybody. You don't owe everybody that. And
No.
that's okay. And if
Yeah.
if you go to a function, and you're like, okay, it's time to go because I'm feeling some stuff, then go.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
feel bound like you have to do something. You are going through a process. The
Yeah.
scary thing is when, you're around people that don't understand. So people say dumb things. They just do.
They
People
most
say
certainly
things,
do.
they say things that you're like, I cannot believe you just said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But you also have to give them grace as well. And I kind of talk about that too. Like, you are going through it, but people are too. And some people
Yeah.
just don't know how to respond. So, when they say those things, don't take it on yourself and make it a reflection of you. That's them. They don't know
Yeah.
what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understand that as well. But don't, if somebody invites you and says, hey, just, come over, hang out, go and hang out. Even if it's 10 minutes, get something to eat and leave.
Yeah.
That's okay. Set
And
your
it can be
boundaries. Know
it
your
can be a
boundaries.
struggle when you're dealing with family and friends, whether you've been together for 30, 40 years or
Mm-hmm.
5 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's the piece around family and friends and how do they react. I know I had some folks that saying, well, I didn't know, you're gonna feel a certain way if I invite him or what have you. I'm
Whew.
like,
Yep,
look,
that's a big
Oh
one.
yeah.
That's a
it
huge one.
is, right? You going, I'm like, look, just let me know, at least let me be able to make my decision if I'm gonna show
Yeah.
up or
Exactly.
not.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
That's
I'm
a good point.
good. I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. Now, anything you want to add in terms, I'll go to you. And
Well,
even
as far
on the
as
co-parenting piece too, Dominique, any tips you have there?
back to the holidays, as far as parents and co-parenting, because that can be kind of challenging. Who gets to spend Christmas with mom or dad? Which one? I mean, that's real. So you
Yes.
don't wait till the holidays come. You don't wait till Thanksgiving Day or Christmas. If you're co-parenting, you plan, you agree, you
Absolutely.
talk about,
Absolutely.
hey, this is what we're going to do this Christmas or this Thanksgiving. So be very, be proactive as
Very.
co-parents.
And you said
Right.
So
that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Very
so
well
Yeah.
said.
that's
Hmm.
the holiday piece. That's all I
Yeah.
had for the holiday piece. But
Yeah. Yeah. Terrence, anything you want to add there?
Yeah. As Dominique said, it's important to plan. So what we would do is say, okay, this year I have them for Christmas. Next year I'll have them for Thanksgiving, and you can have them for Christmas. And that keeps the confusion down, and the
Mm-hmm.
kids know ahead of time what the plan is.
Right.
So we bring them in. What when I went through my separation and divorce, I kind of got blindsided when she left in November, but
Okay.
she had already planned to leave.
Right.
So she had money, she had funds, and she was able to buy all these gifts and things for the children. And so what I was important that I was able to sit them down and tell them that Christmas is going to look a little different this year. So that was part of the plan, like to sit them down and say, "Hey, I may not have the money to do X, Y, and Z," and
Right.
most kids are resilient enough to know that I don't really care about the stuff. I want to spend time with you. So I would plan different activities, things that didn't cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Cool. How do we, Dominique, this might be more for you, but anyone can answer the question. Reframing divorce not as an ending, but an opportunity to really just to grow, gain
Um,
clarity and renewal.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, of course, we've said it over and over. It's agreed. It's a process. It is a process.
Right.
But let's say you're towards the kind of like where you're very clear. The clarity is there. So that divorce can be reframed as a journey of self discovery.
Yeah.
Because now you are kind of how do I put it? You're rediscovering yourself.
Yourself. Yep.
Uh, there are a lot of there are a lot of interests that you may have let go while you were married. There are a lot of new interests that you may find about because marriage creates circumstances where you may have to learn new skills. Let's say
Yeah.
you were not the person that was the finance person in the marriage, or you were not the person that was fixing every little things here and there. All of a sudden, you're learning new skills, discovering new
Yes.
things about yourself. So it
Well
is a
said.
journey of self-discovery. So you can reframe it as a new chapter in your life, and you're discovering something new about yourself. So you embrace it. That's why I said embracing change is important.
Yeah.
That's well
Yeah.
said.
Rasheeda and Terence, anything you want to add to that?
That Dominique was very, very well said.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
it's important to know that you didn't waste your time. I know that is very, whether you've been married for 3 months or 40 years, and we have people that have been married 33 years, 27 years, 20. It wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah.
You learned something, you grew, it took me a long time to realize that. Like,
Yeah.
that was my 20s and my early 30s, but I have 2 beautiful children, and even though the expectation wasn't met, it wasn't all bad, right? I
Yeah.
still learned a lot. I still grew a lot. I still obtained a lot and learned so much. So it's not a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's not necessarily failure. You're not a failure. So I think even giving yourself grace in that, and knowing that, because if it was supposed to be something else, it would have been, right? You can say,
That's important. I think that's an important that is so
Mm-hmm.
important. I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason,
it does. It
right?
does.
And just understanding that piece.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about friendship, some are for seasons, some are for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But also understanding that there are times you might outgrow each other, and if you're not, and you guys know better than me because you've been married for a minute, much longer than me. And Dominique, I know she was
I
married,
was married for
widower.
17 years.
Yeah, but
I know there was some. Yeah,
you
my
gotta always
husband
you
passed
gotta
away.
say that again, Dom.
No,
Dominique,
I was
say
just
that
saying
again.
I was
Sorry,
married
we
for
have any
17
side
years.
conversation.
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No, finish. Say what you were saying.
No, I'm saying I understand that I know I've been there. All the things that you were saying, you didn't waste your time. I mean, I was married for 17 years. I lost my husband, but all those things that happened, all the things, how I grew, everything I've learned, everything I experienced, all still matter.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn a
Absolutely.
lot about yourself
Definitely.
while you're in marriage. And even for me going through divorce, there were so many things I got clarity around about myself, who I
Yeah,
was
definitely.
as a
Definitely.
person. And knowing the next time if I ever get married again, I think I definitely will go into it with a different mindset, right? Um, so let's talk about that from the standpoint of someone who is going through divorce right now. What would you say? What encouraging word would you give them? What would you say from your heart? What would you share with them?
From a man's perspective, not to be so caught up with the outside appearance of your next mate. We tend to pick with our eyes,
Mhm.
and to Dominique's point, my first wife passed away. And then I met my second wife, and she walked away. So my third is here to stay, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Absolutely.
of
yeah.
course.
Amen.
In this
Amen.
But with
Know what I
Rasheeda,
got.
with Rasheeda, it was completely different. I picked
Mhm.
basically the first two with how they looked, how they walked, how they wore their clothes, and this with Rasheeda, I pray for God to send me someone with a good heart,
Yeah.
because God really, God cares about the matters of the heart. And obviously, I didn't do a good job picking myself. So I stepped out of it, and I was like, God, you send me a good wife. Send me someone with a good heart.
Amen.
She literally came up to me a Wednesday night after Bible study and invited me out for coffee.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a whole testimony in itself.
So um,
I love it.
I would say for the men, um, involve God in the process of picking your
Yeah.
mate.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Rashida, how about you in terms of someone who's beginning this divorce journey? What would you say for them?
Relax.
Yeah.
Relax. Don't base your decisions on how you feel right now.
Yeah.
Because you might feel rejected, you might need that attention. Slow down. Just slow
Yeah.
down. If it might not be everybody's desire to be married again, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
But if it is your desire, again, and sometimes we can think we did let God in it, but when we really sit back and ask ourselves, it's like,
Girl.
but did we? In my
Mm.
prayer, the way
Mm.
I don't know how much time we got, but the way our stories connected like this, it's unbelievable, because I was praying that the Lord would send somebody that could see my heart,
Right.
and he was praying for somebody with a good heart. um I didn't know when I would ever get married again. I knew I wanted to be married again, but I knew I couldn't be married to somebody like I was married to before,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that context. I'm not bashing anybody. Again, nobody's
Yeah.
perfect, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to be different, right? Um and it's important to just and give yourself grace and slow down. Don't make choices based on how you feel right now, period.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And really allow yourself to kind of
Like
go through the
I was like,
process.
Lord, you have to. I would not have been able to receive a man like my husband if I wasn't in that process of healing, if I didn't give myself that time to heal. And I was bitter, so I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been able
You
to
have to
even
Yeah.
heal.
see the man that he is.
Yeah.
So, that's really again, if that's your, even if it's not, just give yourself that time, give yourself some grace. Watch your mouth. Watch
Yeah.
what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
Allowing yourself to heal is very important. I was telling a couple of my friends, I feel like I've been divorced eight years, and I really felt like the last 3 years I really started to feel whole
Mm.
finally, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's important to make sure you're kind of going through that process
Mhm.
um, as well. And for me, believing God, staying close to Him, praying for the
Mhm.
right person make sure that I'm dealing with the right people. And to your
Right.
point, Rashida, someone who really cares about you as a person, right?
And
Um,
don't limit God. I never thought I'd be with
exactly.
somebody 20 plus years older than me. Never. But
Yeah, yeah,
don't limit God. Don't
Yeah.
limit God. Don't put God in a box. Don't put God in a timetable. I was, 33 when we met, and I was like, okay, Lord, if you want me to wait 10, 20, okay, it's
yeah,
whatever you want. It's your
yeah,
timeline. His
yeah,
timeline was very short for me.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
very short for me. But don't put God in a box, for
yeah.
sure.
Dominique, your encouraging word, someone going through.
I'm going to piggyback on that relax because, yeah, I think one of the first things, because it is so traumatic, and you know, it's just so much in your head. It's really, there's just so much going on in your head. Relax, breathe, deep
Yeah.
breathing, meditate, pray. It's so important. And it's so important to be able to know that you have the strength and the ability to overcome the suffering and thrive after divorce. Just
Yeah.
know that. And more importantly, you don't have to do this alone.
Right.
Yeah. And that is the reason this topic it was so important for me to have you all and what you do as part of this conversation because there's so many people who want to, uh, just stay in the house,
Isolate.
escape,
Hmm.
right? Sleep their life away. God forbid, deal with substances, just trying to make
Yeah, all the
things
wrong
kind of go
coping
away.
mechanisms. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The coping
Food, eating
mechanism,
yourself
eating
in a
Exactly.
yourself
hole,
for what?
Or not eating at
Yes,
all.
right?
yes.
Or not eating at all. Yep.
But you're not alone. Talk to someone, talk to a therapist, um, go to a divorce care, but just go to a support group program.
Yeah, something,
It's
right.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
But don't do it alone. And yeah, pray, right? But you may also have to do some other things as well,
Right.
Right. Pray
right?
and do.
Pray and
Pray and
do.
do. Pray and do. Well, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you all for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm just so grateful that this is kind of wrapping up this Affairs of the Heart series. I thought about doing one more. And then I'm like, you know what? This has been some deep conversations, at least the last two with grief and then this one. But I'm going to put you all into my green room. So let me put you in the green room. I'm going to close out. And I really do hope that this has blessed someone out there who may be struggling right now in terms of going for divorce, may have lost hope. But no, you don't have to do this alone, y'all. You don't have to do this alone. There's support out there. There are people out there who truly want to help you, who support you, who want to love on you as you're going through. Um, yeah, please don't go through this process by yourself. And if you know someone who missed this episode, know that you can leverage the same links. You can use the same links that I shared to watch this episode in replay. And I am also on Podbean, y'all. So I'm going to download this episode onto Podbean for those who prefer audio podcasts. All right. I'm not sure if I'm going to do something in January. February, I have a fun topic that I want to cover. Um, and in recognition of Valentine's for those of us who are single and maybe dating. I have something for February. But until then, enjoy your holidays, y'all. And make sure that you are spending it with people who can love on you, you can love on them. And by all means, be safe. Okay. Be safe, everybody. Take care.